Hey, it's Scott from Sailing Anarchy. We're in sunny San Pedro to do not just a retro, like a gnarly retro. Say hello to the Destroyer. Ha! Just kidding. We're doing the Transpac 52 Destroyer.
1, 2, 3. Listen.
All right, here we are on the Transpac 52 Destroyer. This is a 2005 third generation Transpac 52. Obviously, since this boat was done in 05 and now to 2020, 15 years of development in this class have taken place. So this boat does not resemble what a current Transpac 52 would, but I just love the fact that this is a Bruce Farr. There weren't all that many Transpac 52s designed by Bruce Farr, and it's a vintage boat that the owner has decided to make offshore ready. And we'll go through some of the systems on this boat just to show you how this boat is done. The first thing you'll notice, twin backstays. It's got these right here. There are no runners, and the backstays go to their own dedicated winch because you need to be able to control the rig from both sides, and that's how that's done. The Traveler, really nice. Take a look. Traveler line, it goes right up there, and so that the mainsail trimmer can control the Traveler and the main sheet. And back here is a place where the tiller would go. I don't know if this boat had an original tiller, but for sure an emergency tiller could go in there if you have problems with your steering system. You got the raised platforms. Obviously, these are super adjustable. So if the helmsman, depending on the boat's heel, he feels like he's always flat in the boat. So adjust this accordingly. Come on up, we'll take a look at the mid-cockpit here. So this is where the mainsail trimmer lives. He's got his main sheet winch right here. He's got his Travelers right there. When the boat heels over, he's just tucked in here, trimming on this, adjusting the Travelers, and it's a really nice place for him to be. One thing you'll notice about this boat is how shiny and sparkly the thing is. I mean, when you put fresh paint and new non-skid on a boat, it's amazing how the boat comes alive. So this boat really does look super clean, and it is actually super clean. It's obvious to state, but man, the size of the cockpit on this thing is just ginormous, which obviously it would be for a pure race boat. When we show you down below, you'll see a completely different experience down there, and we'll get to there in a minute. Here's the twin Harken grinders. They've got the pedestal winches off. This boat is essentially used almost exclusively for offshore. This boat has won its class in Transpac, I think in 2017. It won its class when it was called Grins in 2013. They finished, I think, second in class. Interesting trivia fact, this boat was built for King Juan Carlos of Spain. A yachtsman of some notoriety, has had a series of super fast boats, and this was one of them. So any helmsman on any boat needs to be kept in line, and this boat has a couple of items to do that. This here's the beaten stick, so if the helmsman just gives you a bad time, you just give him a quick whack. It'll generally quiet him right up. And some helmsmen, though, just don't know when to shut up, and that's when you bust this bad boy out. Nice and rusty. I don't think any helmsman is going to argue with this. No, seriously, of course, this is a hydraulic pump, this is a pump handle, and this is, well, it's just a knife for cutting stuff away. Probably needs a little sharpening. All right, back here on the stern, the first thing you'll notice is the slope going out of here. We understand this was a modification done by maybe the second owners who decided to do this. I mean, not sure the purpose of the angle other than hustle water out of here. That's probably the best thing. That's my story anyway. Forgot to mention this is B&G to read the load cells. It's load cells in here, excuse me, to read the amount that's on the backstays. And you've got the two, I guess you'd call them both running backstays. And as we said, they're adjustable there. But in case you want to know how many pounds of load are on both the backstay and the headstay, this is where you get it. Why is it facing this way? because the mainsail trimmer is sitting right there and the guy in the runner is right here, so he can see these. All right, as I mentioned, this is an offshore boat, and that's why this thing exists right here. This here's your shower head. So it's nice to be here, and you take your showers here, everything runs off there, and there you go. So you won't find this on a stock Transpac 52. I'm pretty sure about that. So you'll notice the cabin top winches, they're huge. They're carbon, and they have to be huge because that's a long, long way up there for headsails and spinnakers. Masthead spinnakers, tons of power. You need those to get the friggin' halyard up there. We talked about the boom vang earlier, right? How it's accessible from the aft end of the cockpit. Here it is. This is not a hydraulic boom vang, which is kind of a surprise. It's done through the purchase, and it goes underneath the boat all the way out, and as we said, exits back there. Take a look at this. This is really cool. So these are the adjustable jib leads, and you can adjust them obviously athwartships depending upon what angle you need. It's really kind of an interesting development in this generation of Transpac 52. What the hell is that cutout for? Well, it's where the jib clue would go. So there will be times when you'd want to bring that lead all the way in there, and the clue of the jib is designed to basically just go in here so you can get a little further inboard. Any kind of reaching or sea conditions, you move this thing further out, and then it's got a floating jib lead. So you don't, it controls the forward and aft a lead position, as it were. It's fairly standard stuff. You can see that it runs all the way up there to a nice purchase system, and then runs right there to another purchase on the side of the cabin top. Pretty slick system. One of the nice things about this boat, it's just a touch that you may or may not notice, but they painted the pulpits and the stanchions all white to fit in with the color theme. It looks really nice. Talked a little bit about the headstay, and it is adjustable, and here it is. Goes down here through, hydraulic ram. There are basically 3 hydraulics on the boat: outhaul, flattener, and headstay. And that's how you control the headstay on this boat hydraulically. And again, you want to know how much load you have on it, you just read the sensor, as I pointed out back there. The runner trimmer and the mainsail trimmer have all that stuff together, and no doubt they know the ranges because they sailed this boat for a couple years now. You'll notice that it has a prod, and it's a fairly lengthy prod. They fly asymmetricals from there, no poles at all, masthead kites, and the thing is just a machine downwind. This is actually a really good boat, and I understand that it's really good in like 8 to like 18-ish sort of. The boat really hauls ass, and then any breeze after that, the thing is really fast as well. The boat's controllable. It's designed to go downwind. It's a Transpac 52. These things are rocket quick, and the fact that they won their class, Transpac in 2017, lends credence to that. If I didn't mention that the boat was made out of all carbon, you might have figured it out by now. I mean, every single thing on this boat is carbon fiber. It's one reason why it's so dark. Plus there's no windows, small thing there, and no real light up there other than the foredeck hatch. So these things are not exactly comfy cruisers. This is a pure race boat, but this is a boat that if you go to Hawaii, I mean, these aren't the greatest places to be down below. No place to really eat. It's designed to race. It's not designed to be comfortable. I will point out one thing. There's a singular cushion over there, a little bit of a, throwable cushion. That's called the owner's cushion. I'm not kidding you. So, when the owner's on deck, he probably brings that thing up there and, lives in luxury on his singular cushion. Nobody else uses it. That's just the owner's. As I said, it's an offshore boat now, and so the boat has, and it has to have anyway, it has a sink and a stove right here. Got place for, some of your utensils and all that kind of stuff. If you look up here, you'll notice this sort of bizarre framework. A lot of it's structural. I mean, they've added things here to make the boat super stiff. The main sheet, though, does come from here. It bends through here, and it runs down the tube and exits back there for the mainsail trimmer. Pretty slick way to do that part of the boat. Here is obviously places where you store winch handles and sheets. Here I am all the way in the back end of the boat. This is not a great place to be, but you have to be here when you're down below and you're off watch. Not really necessarily here, but for sure here if it's windy. So it's got a single pipe berth there. It's got 2 more there. And then it's got 2 more forward. So if let's say you take 10 people to Hawaii, I mean, I assume that's the number. So you can put 5 people aside on the off watch. That's really nice. I mean, that's a good way to do it. It's not fun back here. And I can tell you, once you start to get into the trades, it gets hot and humid. And this boat is black without a lot of ventilation. I can't imagine. Like, it just doesn't sound like fun to me. I mean, maybe 20 years ago, I'd be, yeah. Now I'm like, no. The boat has fans back here, and you need them because it just gets hot and it's airless back here and it's just miserable. So you at least have a little fan, keep yourself cool. But this here's the back end, and it too is really black. All right, you might ask, what the hell am I doing sitting here? Wasn't the other side enough? No, I'm going to show you something that you did not see coming, and we certainly didn't. This here is the nav station, and I'm not even kidding you. So I'm thinking that the navigator gets in here, puts his feet in there, and then he's doing his magic here. I mean, the boat's hammering around. You don't have any seat, no back support. You have to be kidding me. But where else would you put it? I mean, ideally, if you were building this boat over again, you'd have the nav station somewhere up there. But here it is in this little hole. And I think if you spend enough time back here, you go insane. You just have to. It's like black and hot and miserable. And you just are allotted this little tiny area right here. Wow. If you want to come up to the very front, take a look. Let's go. All right, here we are in the cave up forward. It's cave-ish because it's black, and it's cave-ish because there's just a lot of room here. This is pretty spacious, right? I mean, if you're going to convert this thing into a cruiser, which would be insane to do, but you could actually build in a really nice forepeak here, maybe a little, you know, stuff and things that they do on cruising boats. I don't know what they do. It's all wood and weird. But this boat, no go at all. I talked about the adjustable headstay, right? And this is where it happens. Got the hydraulic ram right here. You can see that it's attached to the dead end of the headstay, and then the headstay runs up through the hole at the very front of the boat that we pointed out earlier. It's a pretty slick way to do this, and it's minimal weight. Obviously, there's nothing else up here to speak of other than this. Okay, you know what this is, right? This is the goddamn kelp pole. You know, I showed you how to use it on the Schumacher 30, and that's fine. That boat doesn't draw much, rudder's down, not so deep. This boat, though, that keel's deep and vertical, and same with the rudder. And it's really hard to get kelp off with this. I mean, that is the one job you don't want to do. It's just, it takes forever. But on this boat, without a kelp cutter on the keel, that's the only way to get the kelp off. It can be arduous and it can be lengthy, and I'm sure this boat, on some of the distance races that it's done, I'm sure they back down because you catch stuff all the time going across the Pacific. And so as soon as you realize you have something on the keel and you're going quick, really only on one way to get it off if you don't have the kelp cutter, and that's to back the boat down. I mean, imagine that. So you got to drop the kite. You have to have a good helmsman, a lot of people to push the boom out when you swing it into the wind, and you got to make sure you do it right the first time so the boat doesn't wander off. You control it backwards, everything comes off, turn around, spin a crop, and off you go. That's how it goes on these boats. All right, I'm in the shitter of this here Transpac 52. At least it's enclosed with a little bit of privacy. I mean, they could have plunked it right there. They didn't. You control some things down here, and not just your bowels. You have a little control panel here for both the bilge pump and the mast light. I mean, I wouldn't have imagined that the bilge pump on switch would be here, but okay, it is. These are, we like to call these are called shitting bags, and yeah, they're exactly what you think they are. So yeah, I mean, it's, if you gotta go, at least nobody's staring at you other than the cameramen, and it is what it is. As you know, this is a Transpac 52, and they were designed with the idea of going to Hawaii, and the first bunch of West Coast boats were that exactly. They're also designed to sail in the Med a little bit. I want to say that the TP52 class, 1999, 2000 or so, and then I think 2001, the boat started rolling out. You had Andrews Designs, you had Reichel Pugh, you have Farr Designs. The Transpac 52 class now is completely different. The new modern boats, they're almost exclusively buoy boats, exclusively in the med. They have a decent fleet. I mean, 10, 12 of these things that travel around and race one design. I mean, it's obviously super expensive, but it's really great buoy racing. These are not Pac 52s. Let's just call it a quasi-failure. They built 4, I believe. They all were built a little different. They were built low tech. They had taller rigs, higher freeboard, technically different in some key areas, but they just didn't catch on because they had build problems. And, you know, after a while, if the class doesn't grow, the class falls apart. And that's really what happened to the Pac 52 class. But Transpac 52s are strong. They now call them Super 52s, or certainly the Super 52 series. But forever, these boats are known as Transpac 52s. This brings a close to today's Metro Boat video. Hope you liked it. I mean, I did. The boat is trick. It's in nice shape. It stood the test of time nicely considering that it's 15 years old. The fact that it can still win Transpac and certainly any of the local races that are offshore, whatever's left these days. This boat is always going to be a contender to win class and probably overall as well. It's a delightful thing. If you like this, then hit that like button. And if you want to subscribe to this, then hit that subscribe button. And I hope that you do both, actually. For Sailing Anarchy and for Nobleman Productions, I'm Scot Tempesta. We out.
It kinda makes you feel good.